Hi everyone, it's Kelly here from Spiritual Awakening Signs, and today we're talking about a topic that I think most people will probably resonate with, and I'm really interested to hear you guys' experiences of, how you've experienced other people's energies before. We're talking about other people's energy. We're talking about how we absorb it, why we absorb it, and how it affects us on all the different levels. We're also going to talk about how you can clear it from your energy and how you can not only clear it from your energy, but protect against it long term, because that's the most important thing. It's great if we can clear the energy out, but if you don't put something in place to protect against it long term, you're going to find that over and over again, you're going to be repeating processes to try and cleanse all this energy from other people off of your energy and off of your space. So we're going to get into it in just a moment. I can see some people are starting to join us live. Please say hello. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you're from. I love to say hello to everyone, and it's great to get some light workers together. So in this video today, I'm going to be sharing my hard-won wisdom, let's say it that way. I have been through these experiences myself. I know what it's like to feel completely overwhelmed by picking up other people's stuff and other people's energy. And unfortunately, it's just one of those aspects of being an energy sensitive and certainly being on a spiritual pathway that we have to learn how to take care of ourselves in that respect. So we're going to cover a few things in today's video. We're going to talk about soul fragments, because that's what we're really dealing with. I'm going to explain what they are in just a minute. Soul fragments, what they are and why they are the missing ingredient in your spiritual awakening. You might not be even paying attention to soul fragments at all at the moment, but I'm going to explain why it's so important. We're going to talk about why energy sensitives like us tend to absorb the soul fragments of others and why it is so detrimental to our well-being, why it affects us so much. We're going to talk about some common experiences that cause soul fragment absorption, really drawing up that energy from other people. And I'm going to teach you the secret to clearing other people's energy from your auric field so that you can protect against it long term. Okay, this is going to make a big, big difference to you and your energy. So there's a few different things we're going to cover as we move through, but the first thing I want to say is if you are the type of soul that is either, that is a hare, let's put it that way, so there's tortoises and there's hares. If you're a hare, you're the type of person that it's like, you need the healing, it's like, oh, I'm right in there, I'm going to get it cleared, I'm going to move. If you're a tortoise, you like to take your time, you like to slowly integrate, do a little bit, you take a break. Everybody's different, but if you are what we would class as a hare, if your soul is a hare, I'd like you to take a little look at the link below. You'll see it in the description. It's for the Soul Fragment Retrieval. It's an energy healing meditation that will ultimately do everything we're about to talk about. It's going to do it all for you in about 20 minutes. It's an energy healing activation. It's going to do clearing. It's going to make shifts. It's going to not only cleanse and clear and return all of your soul fragments that you may have lost, but it's going to get rid of anybody else's that you might have absorbed too. Okay, so take a little look at that. And let's get into the content. Please say hello. I can see more of you joining us live. Thanks so much for coming along. Okay, the most important thing that I want you to take away from this live video is that most people carry soul fragments, and they carry the energy of other people and their soul fragments without even realizing it. Most of us at any one time are carrying the energy of other people. We have no clue that that's happening, unless you're sensitive enough to pick up on the signs, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, these soul fragments, if you're not familiar with that, these are essential pieces of life force. They're like tiny little pieces and fragments of your soul that get lost through usually intense emotional experiences. It's usually the most common way that they get lost, but we'll talk more about that. Now, you can both give and receive soul fragments. So, for example, you might naturally give soul fragments, give energy, give a piece of yourself to a friend or family member that is unwell, and you feel a lot of compassion. Quite often you are giving of yourself, you're giving soul fragments. When you are in an experience where someone is trying to manipulate you, they're trying to control you, they're trying to get you to do something that they want you to do, what you'll find is you've absorbed their soul fragments because there's a sort of hooking aspect. There's a hook in that it can hook into your energy. Before you know it, you've picked up other people's stuff. So that just gives you a broad overview. We're going to talk about all the breakdown of it so you can really understand it on a deeper level. But soul fragments are not necessarily just negative. They can be positive. It can be because you love someone. Soul fragments are exchanged in marriages, for example, or connections with your children, your loved ones. These are all healthy, normal parts of life. It's when it's unhealthy that it's a problem, okay? Now, we might pick up other people's energies and therefore other people's soul fragments from experiences such as, like I said before, manipulation or control. So if you've been in a controlling relationship, and of course that could be romantic, it could be with a parent, it could be with a friend or a co-worker, if there's manipulation, if there's an attempt at control, and all those different sorts of tactics that come with that, there's a good chance that you have picked up the other person's soul fragments. It's like feeling invaded by a little bit of their energy, kind of gets into your space and you don't feel completely sovereign. Another way that we pick up other people's energies is by giving too much of ourselves. So sometimes, like I was saying, it can be coming from a good place. You know, you want to care for someone, you feel compassion, but sometimes we give just that little bit too much and the energy goes with it. And that means that we lose a little bit of ourselves. It causes a lot of different symptoms, which I'll talk about shortly, has a big, big impact. But sometimes with light workers and energy sensitives, we allow others to take too much from us. If we're in that sort of pattern where people kind of take advantage and we kind of let it happen, and we're kind of saying it's okay, even though we know deep down somewhere it's not, you're going to absorb other people's soul fragments, because again, it's that sort of something getting into your energy and trying to take from you. It sticks to you, okay? Other experiences that cause you to absorb other people's energies is when you're around any sort of toxicity. And we all know what they are, you know, but if there's any sort of really unhealthy patterns in any relationship or dynamic or connection, you're going to pick up soul fragments. And of course, if it's dysfunctional, if there's any sort of dysfunction, there's going to be a negative exchange of soul fragments going on there. Also, if there are techniques that are being put upon you like guilt tripping, blame shifting, anything that is manipulative in nature, you're going to know that you've lost soul fragments and you've probably picked up soul fragments of the other person. There's a sort of dominance in your energy. And it's usually not something that people even consciously know that they're doing. It's just what happens in the energy dynamic. The other reason that you might pick up other people's energies is because you are a light being in a darkened space. So for example, if you are a being of light, if you're someone of a light vibration in nature, and you go to a shopping mall, you go somewhere where there's a big crowd, there's lots of people, what you're going to find is that you're quite easily overwhelmed. You might feel drained and exhausted really quickly, even if you've not really done very much. You'll find that it takes from you, because in that environment, on an energetic level, people who are at a lower vibration see the light, and it's almost like they try to take a little piece of it, they kind of hold on, and it starts to strip away a lot of your light. Now, of course, we can replenish that, but it's not a nice feeling. It's not a good place to be when you're a light worker and you feel that you've just absorbed everybody else's stuff and they've kind of taken some energy from you. And again, these things happen unconsciously. People don't consciously think, I'm going to steal some of your soul fragments, or, you know, I'm going to put some of mine on you so that I've kind of got ownership in some way. It's usually not intentional, but it is definitely detrimental. And one of the last ways that you'll find that you might pick up other people's energies is through things like curses, spell work, any sort of psychic attack. And what we're finding much more commonly now as people are waking up more and more is that a lot of curses and things, a lot of that energy is coming back up to the surface. We're getting stuck in really unhealthy, upsetting, cyclical patterns, because curses and spell work that's been put on us in past lives is coming up to the surface to be healed. So you find it kind of plays out for a little while first, and of course, usually that comes from the energy of a lot of resentment. And again, there can be control dynamics in it, which means that someone has put their energy upon you in an attempt to be a sort of dominant energetic force. And of course, that's when you're going to be carrying those soul fragments, and it is not going to feel good. You're going to be aware that something's not right. And of course, you could have carried them your whole life. It might have been happening your whole entire life that you've been carrying these. It's time to set them down. So we're talking about all the different ways that these occur. One of the other ways you might find is that you just know You just know on some level I'm talking about this to you and you feel like, I think that's me. I think I've either lost some soul fragments or I have absorbed some unhealthy soul fragments from somebody else. You just get a feeling. Trust your intuition because it never lies, okay? So now we're going to talk about some of the signs that you might be carrying other people's energy fragments, and I would really love to know, those of you who are watching, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay, tell me if you resonate with any of these. Tell me if you hear this and you think, that's me, or you think you've got soul fragments picked up from someone else, okay? So if you are carrying other people's energy, you're going to have probably first and foremost emotions, moods, maybe even physical symptoms that aren't yours. This is the weird sort of phenomena that quite often happens with empaths. We take on other people's stuff. It's really, really interesting. It's not nice when it happens though. It can be very, very uncomfortable. You need to remember it's their stuff, it's not your stuff, and create that divide. Maybe a little bit of energy work that needs done if that's coming up for you, but that will definitely be a sign that you're carrying other people's soul fragments. Another sign would be having a sense that someone or something still has a hold over you. And you might know who it is, you might have that in the back of your mind, but you just have this feeling of like, somehow that person's not in my life anymore, and I still kind of feel like they are dictating my life, or I feel like they've got a hold over me, they've got a say in it, and you don't feel completely free. Another sign would be that you struggle to move on, or you struggle to let go. So this is where you start ruminating over the past. Maybe you find yourself thinking about past relationships that you've had, how it played out. Maybe you think about a certain person that you've connected with in your life much more often than you think is appropriate for the space they had in your life, or how long ago this connection might have been. If someone keeps showing up, there is an energy exchange between both of you that is still continuing on. And that means probably that you have absorbed soul fragments of theirs, and they probably have some of yours too. So you want to cleanse that out and send them back, get yours back all nice and cleansed. Another sign would be feeling drained or exhausted, and this is where you feel drained or exhausted, but it's not replenished by rest. So you feel completely overwhelmed, or you feel drained, you've got nothing left, and you go and have a sleep, you go and have a rest, you sleep all through the night, you wake up the next day, you've had a long sleep, logically you should feel better, and you're like, I'm still absolutely exhausted. That's usually because soul fragments are at play. Other people's energy is in your way, it's dragging the soul down, it's weighing your vibration. Another sign would be feeling invaded. So this is where you feel like your energy isn't your own, your energy isn't sovereign. So it can sometimes feel as you're being invaded by someone else's energy. It can make you feel like they're in your space even when they're not. Or you think about them a lot, because that's a sign, that's your intuition giving you a sign. This person's in and around your energy, you might want to take a look at that. And the last sign is feeling unable to move forward in your life, feeling stuck. Quite often people find that it's the missing piece in their spiritual awakening journey. When you reach a plateau, or when you reach a point where you're like, I'm doing the work, I'm working on my stuff, I'm doing everything I can to move forward, something's not right, I'm not moving forward, it's probably because either or both you have lost soul fragments to many other people, places, and things. Because remember, it's not just about this lifetime. You could have lost soul fragments from past lifetimes, like I was talking about curses. You could have lost soul fragments because through your genetic line, there's history there that has caused problems, and there's all this trauma and drama and things tied up. There's lots of different reasons why. But it is really, really important to take a stand in your spiritual awakening and acknowledge how important it is that you have every piece of your energy, every piece of you available and at your disposal to be able to utilize to get through the mission and the purpose and the reason that you're here. You can't do it if you don't have all of yourself. And that's really the problem with soul fragments, is whether you have lost parts of yourself or whether you've taken on parts of other people, it ultimately means that you're not in that purity of energy that is true to you, and that you are being influenced by the energies that are affecting you, either because you're missing a piece of yourself, or because other energies are lower vibrational and they are getting into your space. And it's kind of like a body of water, and you put some poison in the water and it slowly starts to ripple out and it kind of infects all the rest of the water. And that's what it's like when you're dealing with people who have negative intentions or negative attitudes, or everyone has their ups and downs, and we can be a good support, we can be great compassionate listeners, but when it's that unhealthy dynamic, it's really going to mess with your energy. And to you need to decide that your spiritual awakening is more important than that. You need to put the things in place that anyone who moves forward in the spiritual awakening pathway does. And these are practices that I do very, very frequently. You must cleanse your own energies, and you must clear out the soul fragments, sending back what isn't yours, calling in what is, so that you're constantly training your system back to that space of wholeness. Because when you don't, you just don't feel right. And there's lots of different things that can happen. And if you want to look more into the loss of soul fragments of your own, check out the link below, because on the meditation there's actually a free video at the top of the page, free masterclass. It's going to explain all of it, and there's information on the page that will probably give you a bit more of what you might need to know. But it's not all bad news. There are good things about it. There are wonderful, positive things that can happen when you finally have soul retrieval. So when you get your soul fragments back, and when you send your soul fragments back to who they belong to, anything that you've picked up. So you're going to find that a lot of the exhaustion and the heaviness that you might have carried for a long time starts to lift. You notice that the sort of sluggishness, the plateau, the feeling that you're stuck, that nothing's moving, starts to shift. And that's when a lot of clarity comes in. That's when you start finding that you're in presence. This is when it's easy to be grounded. A lot of people in spiritual awakening find grounding incredibly difficult. And it's because we're so scattered. Our energy is all over the place. We need to call it back in, bring it back to one space, back to center. And that's where you really find that you can move forward in presence, in groundedness, and really, really stable for the rest of your awakening process. Another excellent benefit that you get is you break a lot of old cycles. So if you have had, for example, a lot of unhealthy romantic relationships, if you've had unhealthy friendships and connections, maybe problems at work, you really want to do a bit of soul fragment work, because it breaks the cycles. Sometimes we can't get out of the cycles, even if we do what would be the right thing, even if we try our best to move away from the situation, to cut off a person, whatever it is you've had to do. Sometimes you'll find it won't budge, because it won't change if you both own a piece of each other. It will only change when you both have back everything that you came and you started with before you got together. And then you're cleansed, you're clear, you're grounded, you can both move forward separately. And that's the best way to do it. But it really helps you to create a lot of healthier patterns, because there's no sort of karmic debris holding you together with unhealthy things. The other wonderful thing that you're going to find is you create a lot stronger, really healthy, natural boundaries. And by that I mean, because your soul is whole again, your energy becomes much clearer and also much stronger. So it doesn't keep you in a space where you need to feel that you've got to fight to be respected, you've got to fight to be heard. Your boundaries naturally command it within your energy. It's a different sort of auric field that is projected from you. So it's a completely different thing, because you've cleared out all the remaining pieces of anything that was to do with all the manipulation and the control and the dominance and the unhealthy patterns, the dysfunction. If you clear that out, you're going to find that you really have those natural boundaries, and that is what really puts the protection in place so that you stop absorbing people's stuff. For example, I mean, when I was going through my awakening and it was at its worst, I couldn't go to busy places. I couldn't go to a mall, couldn't handle it, couldn't even be in a restaurant. You know, being anywhere busy was really overwhelming. And I would return from the experience feeling completely wrung out, usually having to have a sleep, and waking up from the sleep and not feeling any better, just feeling like every ounce of my life force had been taken away. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will resonate with this. That is what we experience when we're not in our power, when we're not really in a space where we're protecting our energy. And if you can really clear out any soul fragments that don't belong to you, and call back the ones that do, your energies will naturally hold a boundary that protects you from your energy being stolen again. It makes a huge difference. I can now go to busy places. Don't always necessarily want to because I'm a bit more introverted. I can go to busy places and I don't come back and feel completely drained. It's like, okay, we were out. Now it's nice to have a cup of tea, be alone again and just have some peace. Each to their own. But it does make a big difference. And the other wonderful thing that happens when you deal with your soul fragments and you do the retrieval is you heal emotional wounds. Because that's really what this all comes down to. Soul fragments are caused by intense emotional experiences and interactions. So deep grief, heartbreak, trauma that might have initially felt completely unbearable to deal with, you're going to find it starts to kind of soften. It starts to loosen, it starts to ease off. And as all those missing pieces return to your energy, and you return all those pieces of other people's stuff that you've been carrying around like a burden, you'll find that any old wounds that you had start to find closure, that your heart regains its strength, its capacity to love in a deep, meaningful way without worrying that you're going to be hurt. All these things shift naturally when you are in a space where your soul fragments are in alignment. It's a very, very powerful thing. And the other thing you're going to find is it's a reconnection with your true self. You cannot know your true self if there are pieces of you missing, if you are shattered and fragmented in your energy. It's about wholeness that is the important thing here for spiritual growth. So it is the greatest gift of all to find that you can use soul retrieval to reconnect with your essence, with your spirit, with that part within that knows everything's going to be okay. And that's a really big deal in spiritual awakening when we're struggling. There's an authentic part of you that knows peace. There's an authentic part of you that knows purpose, it knows joy, it knows how to maintain balance. And from that place of balance, from that place of groundedness, that's where your life feels really aligned and it feels meaningful again. Everything starts to come into alignment, but it all starts with doing the work. You have to take the steps to clear out the soul fragments and call back your own to really get any sort of movement. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in a plateau, a spiritual plateau. It happened to me. If you don't know that it's there, you don't realize what's holding you back. But there's a reason why you're watching this masterclass. There's a reason why you are watching this video at all. It's been shown to you for a reason. So trust the reason and take the message, okay? And we're going to talk about how you can release anybody else's energy that you might have picked up. And there are a handful of things that you really need to know to do it effectively, and I'm going to share that with you. Remember, this is from 20 years experience as an energy healer. I've been working with people going through spiritual awakening for a very long time, and I have tried and tested a lot of different methods, a lot of things when I was going through this myself that, believe me, didn't work. I tried using crystals, tried using essential oils, I had incense burning, I had all the different designated things that you needed, manifestation candles, all the different things that we know and love, and they didn't work for me. And it's not because they don't work, it's because they weren't the right tool for the job. That's all it is. So you need to make sure that you use the right tool and protocol and method for soul fragment retrieval. Otherwise, you're going to find that you cycle around, you're continually having to do the same practices over again. And that's what I got stuck in for a long time. Constantly juggling with crystals and oils and different incense and yoga moves and all these different things that I had to do. It's like spinning plates. You're trying to constantly keep balance by spinning plates, and it's just not sustainable. It's really, really exhausting. Okay, so let's talk about what you need to know to release other people's energy that is not yours. The first thing you need to know is that absorbing other people's energies is usually caused by emotional experiences that are intense. Okay, so you need to think back to, who have I had conflict with? Who have I maybe not even had verbal conflict with, but I felt uncomfortable around? Or someone has hurt or upset me, someone has betrayed me, someone has manipulated me, taken advantage of me. All those little negatives, and it can be very, very small. It doesn't need to be like a big T trauma. It could be a small T trauma, what we call. But you need to acknowledge it, because there will be soul fragments exchanged and there will be soul loss as a result of it. Okay. The next thing you need to know is that The experiences that you had require healing in order to release the soul fragments. So in order for you to actually get that person's energy out of your space, you need to do healing. It's not as easy, even though people will tell you this, it is not as simple as just saying, I release all soul fragments and it's done. I know that because I've done it. If you do that, you'll temporarily release a bit of energy. Thank you for the love, everyone. And then what you'll find is that it's actually all tangled up with your previous experiences. There's karma there, there's oaths, there's vows, there's commitments, there are promises, there are all sorts of different entanglements, and it's all entangled with tons of emotion. So the healing part is really, really important if you want to release the soul fragments for good. Okay, otherwise you're going to be doing those practices every day and it really gets old fast. As much as I love crystals and things, if you feel you have to, it's an obligation, a thing that you have to go through every single day, it doesn't feel good. It takes all the fun out of it. Okay. The third thing you need to know that most people won't tell you is that soul fragments, it's not as simple as just calling them back or sending them back. They have to be cleansed before you reintegrate them. Okay. It's not such a big deal when you're sending them back to someone else. What they do with their own energy is up to them. But if you want to be, courteous, you can cleanse them, which I always think is a good idea. But for you recalling soul fragments that are yours, if you don't cleanse them, what you're ultimately doing is allowing that person's energy to be integrated into your soul. And no matter how positive someone is, we need to stay sovereign in our energy. We can connect, we can align, we can have wonderful experiences. But ultimately, it's about making sure that your energy is completely yours and you know who you are. So, really, really important that those soul fragments get cleansed and cleared before you draw them back into your space. And a nice thing to do for someone else if you want to just be in alignment. You don't have to, but I always think it's a good thing to do. That's the light worker way. The other thing you need to know is that soul fragment retrieval can only be done with energy work. Okay. No other method can repair wholeness because we've got to work on the same level that soul fragments exist, and of course we're working on the energetic level. It's a waste of time. It really is. I've tried it. Please believe me, I've tried all these other things. It was a waste of time to try all these different things and to have to keep cycling back round. It means that you're not moving forward. If you get to do something once and you feel an improvement, then that's great. If it doesn't come back, it's definitely been done right. But if you're having to keep repeating the process or find different ways of soothing the problem, it's not really resolving it at its root, and that's why soul fragment retrieval is so important. Okay, so just to sum up, and I'm just going to check if anybody has any questions. I'm going to give a moment for that. If you have any questions about soul fragment retrieval, absorbing other people's energies, anything about this at all, there are no silly questions. Please ask away, and that's an invite whether you are watching live or whether you're watching the replay. Okay, I'll do whatever I can to help, because I think sometimes when this stuff feels confusing, if you're not 100% sure about it, sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming, and that's just going to stop us in our tracks. I want you to be able to get moving with this. Get the soul fragments cleansed out, get your own soul fragments cleansed and reintegrated, and bring yourself back to wholeness. You're going to find balance is so much easier when you have all the pieces of your energy. Okay, so I think we've covered everything. I'm just going to check that we've not missed anything. Yes, we've covered everything. That's great. So if you want some help with that, I strongly encourage you to take a look at our brand new energy healing meditation. It's the soul fragment retrieval, and it is going to do everything that we've just discussed. You can just relax and enjoy, close your eyes, and let the work be done for you. And this is where you're going to listen to the energy healing meditation. I will guide it, and I work with a collection of high vibrational spirit guides who are dedicated to helping us on the awakening pathway. So when you listen to the meditation, whether it's 2 weeks from now or 2 years from now, it makes no difference. They will immediately in that moment come to your aid, and they will go to work adjusting, healing, clearing and activating to levels that are appropriate for you. Because this is the thing, it's not the same for everyone in spiritual awakening. Some people need their sensitivity brought down a bit. Some people need a certain aspect activated a little more. Some people, it shouldn't be activated anymore because it's already intense enough. You can't just say that one size fits all for spiritual awakening. It has to be unique to your energies, and I'm so grateful to our wonderful, beautiful guides who are here to help everyone. And I really strongly encourage you to utilize that help and support because they're there for you. They're not just there for me, they're there for all of us. And that's why they've helped me to create these resources that are going to help you to move through your awakening. Get the soul fragment sorted, bring yourself back to center, and find that you move right along on your spiritual awakening pathway. If you're on a plateau, it's going to clear really quickly. And just as a note, we've also got 11/11, the 11th of November, coming up soon. If you can do a bit of clearing right now, you're going to find you're in the stratosphere energetically by the time we get to the 11th of November, because it's a really powerful portal. So just a little note for what's coming up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said before, if anyone has any questions whatsoever, please let me know and I'll do my very best to get back to you and to answer your questions for you. There are no silly questions and I'm here to help. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.